Welcome to the Pitch Podcast, where entrepreneurs and cutting-edge companies come to tell us about the products they're making, the ideas they're spending time on, and the problems they're solving. Here's your host, Warren Spiwak.
You done that before? Good work, good work. Happy Feet, they should call you. You should be called Happy Feet.
There you go.
Jason Duff.
Warren Spiwak,
Man,
how are you?
It's so cool. Like here we are at Ceraweek, Houston, downtown. You know, it's interesting because you and I first met really like in the thick of COVID.
We did. Early 2020. You're
Jeez.
right.
You know, it's interesting because what a weird time that was, and you were pretty much new to the U.S.
I was.
doing this role that you had with IBM. And I think just for people that follow you and watch you that might not know a little bit about the backstory, why don't we just start there? You bringing IBM not just to the U.S., but really home base here in Texas.
Yeah, I've even got the boots. Look at that. Yeah, sort of 26 years now with IBM, but I think when you and I met, I came here, just autumn 2019, if there really is a thing called autumn in Texas.
Yeah, a little bit. Depends where you're at.
Being Scottish, I know what autumn is. But never lived in the US, never, I think if you remember, I was 4 years in Singapore, based there, looking after ASEAN. And then before that, always been around Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Brazil, Europe, and then had beautiful places around the countries, the world, like Angola, Algeria. But always wanted to come to the US, and then clearly I got a great chance of coming here and rebuilding our consulting business.
Yeah.
And I've had 4 years. COVID was clearly a big smack in the face. If I thought I was coming in to rebuild the business, dude, there was definitely a rebuild. I think it just made me realize how what I thought I was getting ourselves into was definitely reality. We crawled along on our hands and knees, if I put it down to almost just working out, really becoming advisors, literally selling near zero the end of that year, if I'm being honest, and made us really as a team IBM come closer, think about our relevance, thinking about who we wanted to be, embed ourselves and go. And 4 years later, 3 times the size of who we are, and yeah, I feel like I'm closer to being what Houston offers, what Texas offers, and yeah.
Well, that's fascinating to think that, you know, here you are, an executive from IBM, you come to the US, you have big ambitions, suddenly you have the COVID component and the vulnerability it takes to say, hey, the first year we didn't really close a deal. I almost want to get into a little bit of, don't you think that there was a component that was not an identity crisis, but there is a thing where IBM, a lot of us just consider how we thought of it in the 80s and the 90s. Being in the oil and gas industry, to me anyway, uncovering your target to be in the energy sector was a big aha moment for me. What did you find when you were talking to people? Was there bias that you noticed, or were people, or not bias, but were people or your potential prospects might have typecasted you into a box that you really didn't belong in?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you and I first came here, and so we met on the OGGN with Mark LaCour, and one of the reasons was to get on the podcast. And if I'm being honest, one of the things I really struggled when I came here was the relevance of within oil and gas. And one of the things I wanted to do was, why don't I try the podcast thing to just at least get out there and show people that we were around and we were in Houston and we did things in oil and gas. I found that we were very typecast into the IT, sort of definitely tight into the IT, not even in the CIO's office, I'm being honest. 2019, we were kind of very much into doing some dev work or doing some application support, but very deep into IT support, not really relevant to a business sense, if I'm being honest. we were spread pretty thin, again, if I'm really honest. And the relevance and a little bit, just lacking a little bit of who we are and what we were. What I would call, Warren, you and I have talked about the fabric of Houston, and the bit that missed me was, which totally lit me up. I've lived in a lot of countries around the world, and the amazing thing for me was one of my team wanted to do a toy drive. I had never known what a toy drive was, and everyone turned up, and everyone brought toys.
And it was like an act of outreach to help the community.
And I thought, wow, if that's what happens. And then I met David Reid.
Yes.
And then understood the RedM story. And
I want to get into that. Go ahead, keep going.
But that was the bit that showed me. And then this whole, and I think I started reaching out and thinking, this is like a city like no other. And I ain't blowing smoke up people's ass here. It really is. It really is really people helping people. And I thought, wow, how do I looked at the IBM side and I thought, we're not doing enough. I didn't see us being part of the fabric. So some of my focus in the last 4 years, if you ask my whole team, was really about, guys, how do we become part of the Houston fabric? It's important. And it was important for them as well, because they all wanted to give back. They all wanted to be part of the Houston fabric. It helped me retain people. It helped me, Warren, take the right people on and make sure the people that wanted to come in and grow my business with me wanted to be part of me. So it's made me even more attractive. So we kind of missed that. We were a little bit rudderless, leaderless, a little bit we're there, but we weren't really there. And I had to muscle my way into some of the offices and try and show kind of bring a little bit of family business to the table. The IBM thing sometimes scares the bejeebers out of some people of, here comes the big blue.
Yeah.
And you have to watch some of the midstream companies or the smaller companies think, oh, you're going to be too expensive, or I'm not sure we really need IBM in here. And it's kind of like, guys, we know what we're doing here. And the skills, it's immense if you look at the right parts of IBM. You bring the industry elements of it, and now the data, etc., the AI, and some of the tools we got, bam. That's what I'm now seeing.
Okay, so let's get into that a little bit because I do want to include the RedM mission and you and David Reid's relationship and how that has really, in a huge way, has made an impact. But before we do that, let's go back to that. There was a point right in the beginning of the interview where you were sharing how in 2020, you end the year with this zero of like really,
I say zero, but minimal. I mean, dude, like single figure quarters. I mean, really hard. I'm on my hands and knees.
All right. So then you roundtable with your team. You mentioned when that happened, it was really just about bringing everybody closer and hashing it out. I think for a lot of people that are in mid-management and even executive leaders, there is a thing where communicating difficult subjects is almost as important or more important than communicating the wins and everything else. How do you do that? How have you found that working with teams where there's egos and there's people that care about it and there's different verticals even within an organization, how have you navigated that?
It was a tough one. Tough. Let me take it from a Houston and then how I communicated corporate and head office. So I come from a family background. And so I found it quite easy that says you've got to take the family, no matter if you're a two-man company, 600, 200,000 like an IBM. For me, you all need to sit at the table and we all need to contribute. But you don't have to all sell or all deliver, it's contribution. And be transparent about it. And if we're all talking turkey and we got a straight strategy, the things come on the table and it all works. So during that 2020, I just got everyone around the table and we all agreed as a family, what I do is build a house around what I was asked to run oil and gas North America. I built in my analogy, built my house around within IBM, brought my core team inside and went, guys, I'm going to have to protect us just now because the IBM team I want sales now, and I'm like, guys, I need to rebuild this. I'm going to protect this team, but I need everyone with me to really understand we're on our hands and knees, and we're going to all be in the boat together. And I mean it. I'm not the type of person that's going to prod, and we really had some serious conversations with each other of some of the accounts. We literally asked each other, what are we going to do? And we said, we have to literally go to the accounts and literally have to ask maybe a favor. Maybe, guys, we're down here. We need to, here's a couple of things. Can we get going? And so we literally, each one of us had a plan, but we just kept coming to the table and we said we've got each other's backs. Wow. And Q4 2020, we had a small growth. And from then we had 13 quarters of growth. And every quarter it got bigger and bigger. And I kept saying to the team, it's emotional selling, Warren. My sense of belief is you don't chase the sale and you don't worry about, you and I have spoken about this before. And if I come to you and I'm worried about something, that's the only thing you remember, because everything after that is diluted.
Yes.
My view is I took the team and we worked out what's the client doing, focus on priorities, embed ourselves, really use our listening skills and understand what they're doing, then get the right people in and then help the client. Then the client says, okay, I need some help from you.
You know,
for me, that's how we built it.
I love that, because that's something that resonates with me too. To come in as a consultant and think that because mothership or whatever this top of your organization is telling you what the solutions are, when you come in starting to diagnose people's heart murmurs before putting the stethoscope on, it doesn't really seem authentic. You have to be in discovery mode and exploring what are the possibilities, in my opinion, to come back and now suddenly the solutions that you're sharing actually are making impacts that are causing that organization pain, right? It sounds like you flipped the process a little bit.
You have to. If you think about it, you have to become, what am I? Are we a sales team or are we advisors, number one? When we came in, there was 30 accounts we had on the table. I trimmed that to 6.
Wow.
Because I knew the propensity to buy IBM. I really had to know that I could go in and I could buy. Number 2, we put people on accounts that we knew that would deep dive, that said, hey, Warren, you're on BP or Shell, or Jason, you go to SLB. And we focused the relationship. And we said we can't go and sell. Now, the thing I had to go and struggle with head office was the fact that actually going to these guys and say, watch this space. And I kept using those 3 words. Now, they hated me for it, but actually I had to go and give ourselves some space that said, guys, I really need space. I'm not, I used to joke and say, I'm not Harry Potter. I'm good, but I've not got a scar and a wand. But if you give me space, watch this space, because we'll make it work.
Yes.
And I do believe that emotional selling works. If you don't go in, you embed yourselves, you do the right thing, and you understand the client, it's going to happen. It's going to come.
So it's funny because I just recently I posted something about a book that I read. It's called Super Communicators. Mm-hmm. But what it was just talking about is how when you're in an initial conversation, there's like 3 different places it could be. It's like, I mean, if it's the word emotional connection is kind of like, how do you feel about the problem? What is it causing you? But then the other parts is like, why are we here? And so I think a lot of times what people do is they misuse the feeling of creating rapport as we're not going to talk about business, whereas what you're talking about is, let's have a connection, let's understand each other, let me understand what you're dealing with, and then why we're here is to bring something really meaningful as a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, now another question on this, because a lot of people who serve oil and gas, or they're right in the middle of oil and gas and there's a lot of competitors, I feel like that's a lot of times we see it as a crowded space. Technology for sure is a crowded space. So for you, how have you navigated, or how have you countered the fact that you do have these gigantic competitors?
Yep.
And are they competitors?
So I had to look at my competitive space, and I looked at my limited budget, and I looked at my limited people. So I look at it like a war game and thought, there's no way that I'm going to go to war with someone that's 7-8 times the size of me. I just presented this to someone next to me. No, it's okay. There's some fans of yours, Warren, across there. And
like the Taylor Swift podcast. Okay.
You just missed. Warren and I were up on stage. There was 100,000 people outside George R. Brown.
You did miss it. You did.
We were throwing different parts of clothing into the crowd.
We're
it was
signing autographs.
Emotional. It was emotional.
If it starts raining, I'm blaming you.
Actually, I did feel a couple of touches of rain there, and he did look at me. It's Scottish.
Yes.
No,
okay.
I think where were we going there?
We're
Sorry.
just talking about when, there's a lot of professionals that are in crowded spaces.
I gave this comment somewhere else. So I looked at my team, and I've got a limited team, limited scope, and I thought, hold on. So what do? You don't go to war with someone that's 10 times the size of you, 5 times the size of you. And so that's why I cut my accounts from 30 to 6. And that's why I agreed and said I'm not going to do any white space RFPs that I don't know. And that everyone thought I was batshit crazy when I came in. I went, guys, that's what we'll do. We are 3 times the size. Go back to it. I'm 3 times the size of what we were 4 years ago.
So
just on from 30 accounts to 6. And what I've got this thing is less is more. Everyone doesn't get it, and it's like, no. If you focus on less and you go deep and you understand the clients, you can get more out of this. Yes. And people don't get it at first. It says, no, you need to go out and have a lot more, and you need to make sure. It's bullshit. You don't need to do that. And I think, why would you go out and then fight someone that's got 100 odd plus executives that you know that in a scrap in the street, we're going to die within seconds? I will just not have that fight. Okay. And so I'm very selective with what I'm going to do and not going to do. So as long as you know what your strength is, I know what my strengths are. So if I get some from one of my accounts, I'm in. I know where my strategy is. I know where my references are. If there's something comes along the street and I know it's one of my clients, dude, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to go with. And so it was 4 years ago, dude, we were winning 1 in 9 RFPs. Because people were just like, hey, I don't know who this guy is, Warren. I think he's looking for this. I think,
take a look.
And dude, I would rather take that time and that investment, Warren, and say, stop it. Let's go and spend all that time in SLB or in Plains All American or in NOV. And I'd get more time and effort.
And invest in
that time.
Yes, I love that.
Boom.
So here's what I'm hearing. Number one, like pruning the tree a little bit and look, I'm not going to do everything for everybody. And now because of that, your resources are really going deep with your relationships, deep with what you're putting into the existing client base. And then in turn, now, instead of like trying to play this wide game and having the biggest footprint with the widest amount of like just scattered results, you're saying, no, I really want to know this vertical, and I want to be really meaningful for this size of company. And now going back now that you can at least look back and see how that worked, 4x, 9x growth is not bad.
And now what I'll do every year is I'll pick 2 or 3 accounts per year and add it on. So I'm not looking at doubling my growth, booking other people. I'll grow 15-20% a year, and I know how to do it, and it's nice. And it's good growth. And now I've learned, and actually when I now bring my SMEs, go back to my data, and my AI guys and my data scientists, I can go and I can be really, really specific. Where an account like NOV or Plains of, Jace, what are they really looking for? I can tell them exactly what I'm looking for, where in a white space, I won't know exactly what they're looking for because I've not spent enough time. So I don't know, I'm a good cultural fit. Do I really know what they're looking for? If I really focus one, I'll really know. I really, really want to do
That's great.
So I don't have any DE, I don't have any delivery issues at this current time. That's the other thing. I want to go in, deliver well, sell on next, sell on next.
Yeah. Okay, and then one more thing before we get into the RedM and David Reid connection. So when it comes to here you are, it's 2024, you're here at Ceraweek. it is kind of like walking around with Elvis a little bit, you know.
Dude, how many people did I meet today?
just-
I had no idea. I couldn't get out that. Where is
Yeah.
it? On that level 3, that Hilton. Dude, every time I talk, I met someone that I
Yeah.
hadn't seen since 2008.
I thought I was going to have to put a sheet over your head and carry you out of there. Okay. So Ceraweek 2024, what is your projections? Like, I know you're active on digital media, really
Yeah.
sharing information, thought leadership. I also know that I feel like more now than ever, you're also kind of a global connector, putting people together with resources. There's been acquisitions like the MRO IO, and there's all these different things with logistics. So what do you want 2024 to be? I know we're already in the, ending the first quarter, but what's 2024 mean to you in a perfect world?
For the industry or for me?
For you as a leader and your team and your beloved clients, right?
I think the industry coming to, if you look upstairs, I mean, George R. Brown's just across here, guys. And I think the more and more you see it, the more the industry is starting to come together and realize we need to do something. There was a lot of talk about us going to, as an industry, moving quickly away to, all these craziness of let's go to, the new world and let's stop drilling, etc. That's hurt us for the last 5 years. We're now to a point of, well, hold on, let's not be crazy. We're all still driving around in vehicles. We're all still flying here. We still need the fossil fuels we're still working.
Well, you got to charge your electric vehicle with some fossil fuels. I mean, that's the crazy thing.
Exactly. So I think there's realization. I think we've all got realization that, and actually even upstairs listening to some of the speakers, it's now there's a point of, I think there's a smarter view that says we've now got the companies starting to work together and look at collaboration of what could this look like smarter and how do we get a route towards some innovation around sort of a cleaner fuels. And I like that idea, which then also is driving partnerships with not only oil and gas, but technical as well, Warren, of how could this look together and how do we make that, the energy transformation, look better as well with a bunch of partnerships. So I think we'll see a lot more this year on partnerships looking at using things like Gen AI, data, etc. And it won't just be one company. I think we'll see a lot more partnerships and building things together, which will make the energy business a lot more stronger and a much more relevant and not just this dirty industry where we shy away from it. That's number one. I think we'll see a lot more consolidation. So the Hess, Chevron, yes, there's been some mess around it, etc., and Exxon, etc. But I think you'll see a lot more consolidation, which will drive a lot more standardization. Everyone's talking about cost reduction just now. That will drive also how do we do less with more. So everyone needs to go digital. So that everyone that you go and talk to just now, and everyone upstairs, I need to drive standardization because our companies are buying businesses and coming together. I need to go digital because I need to start driving more digital business and I can drive more profit with it and give more money back to the shareholders. But also we need to do things, I need to do it with 15, 20% less. So all of that's going to start making people think differently. And I think we'll see less of the crazy RFP process that's taking 6, 8, 9 months to do something. And I think you're seeing companies ask, hey, Warren, Jason, Jeff, come together. How would you guys do this? For me, I think that's value. And it's not, you'll notice I didn't just say, hey, I want to make all my figures and we'll pay the guys good money. That'll all come. I think if all that happens and the industry starts coming together and asking the right thing of the partners, again, emotionally, it'll all start working.
That's right.
And we'll look smart, and the energy business will start doing the right transformational steps, and we'll look stronger. That's my personal view.
That's awesome, and thank you for that, because it's a whole lot. We're drinking from the fire hose, but at the same time, there's some repeating themes that we see. So let's get into RedM, but before we do, I'm going to check the iPad, make sure it's still recording.
That it's not wet and it's not drowned.
That's right. It only takes a second.
You know this is a Scottish summer.
Man, it's still working. Is it? This is a Scottish summer? Shit.
It's probably a good Scottish day in July.
How do y'all get your vitamin D in Scotland?
You go south to Spain for 2 weeks. You know how a Scotsman goes to Spain for 2 weeks in the summer?
No.
He goes there to sort of go from the colour blue to the colour of white. That's a Billy Connolly joke.
Oh, shit.
So RedM.
Yeah, RedM. So, yes, let's start there because people who really know you know that's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
You kind of have like, not a soulmate, but you and David together are
Just
just,
scary, isn't it?
yeah, you're just.
All I need is a Tesla, and then we've got two in a box. Which I think he and I are just thinking about. Does he work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he works Thursday, Friday, or something like that?
That's funny.
Both East Coasters. Yeah, it's funny. I met David at he'll tell two different. I'll tell my story.
Yeah.
I'll
you'll
tell
have a
David's
different-
story. I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll start laughing at this one. My story is I was at an event, an OGGN event, and he was up on stage and he talked about RedM and sex trafficking. And this was end of 2019 before COVID, Warren, and I think you were there. I think it was Hard Rock? It was out City Centre way.
Yeah.
I can even tell we were upstairs and it was off the I-10
Right. At the energy corridor.
and the energy corridor. I can't even remember which bar it was. I'm a Scotsman. You don't have to. It was a bar.
I'll take his word for it.
But he mentioned sex trafficking, and I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Seriously, and I think I heard. I mean, clearly he's East Coast Scotland, and so I kind of clearly understood his strong dulcet tones because that's where I'm from. But at the same time, I was like, "Dude, this is scaremongering. I don't get this." So I went to him afterwards and went, "Dude, being Scottish," and I called him on it. I was like, "Dude, what is that?" It can only be, and by the way, I'm from Asia. I know what sex trafficking is. I thought I did, or I knew. Let's put it the other way.
You had a picture of what it is.
I know what prostitution is.
Sure.
I've been in Asia. I lived in Asia. If you do, I mean, dude, it was Asia's. You're living in the middle of it. Let's be brutally honest. So I kind of got that side of it, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Why Houston? Get out of here!" And the only thing I could imagine was, okay, it's Latin American girls coming to strip clubs. That's where that was my picture. And he went,
Yeah.
"No, I need you to read something, Jason. I need you to come and see me next week, and I'm going to introduce you to a couple of non-profits. You're going to meet a couple of overcomers," which I didn't understand the term overcomer at the time. And I did that, and it totally rocked it just hit me between the eyes. I'm the most non-religious. Usually the person doesn't believe in this stuff, and it literally hit me square between the eyes. I spoke to my wife and was like, I said to David and Beth, his wife, and I was like, "Dude, I need to do something." And at the time, David was launching and going crazy socially and was like, "Dude, I need your help." And he and I just said, "Let's go crazy with this and raise awareness." And my journey started with, I said, "Okay, David, I'll help." And I started with, I really don't understand it. It was upsetting because I've got two daughters, as you know.
Yeah, me too. I have two.
And I know, yeah, I've met them. It just really hurt. And I just like, dude, how? Well, I had so many questions.
And it's so beyond our imagination. You think it's one thing, but it is so beyond.
Dude, Houston?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what the? So I kind of got involved without if I'm being honest, really not knowing. So first of all, it was a little bit of, David's a nice guy. Well, sometimes, sorry, David. Actually, no, he's not a nice guy, is he? He's not really a nice guy. But yeah, David and I got on really well. And we started really helping on the Join RedM and doing the Red Mondays, and we enjoyed it. And then I started getting involved in some of the events, and some of the messaging was more and more. He tells a story that, by the way, I went to, which I did. I went to an event with. I was invited to a wine event, and I bought one of his pictures that he painted, which is now hanging in one of my restrooms at the home. Sorry, it's my wife, David. I did tell you it's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
It's now outside the toilet, so you've made it outside the toilet, David. Don't worry. It's an okay painting, but it's worthy of toilet or just outside, so it's okay. But that's his story, and that's how we get to know each other. But that was second phase. David's a little bit older than me, and he forgets. Right. But anyway, that was. But my journey was learning a bit more and a bit more. And RedM, as you know, is one about raising awareness, number one. That's the most important thing of all of us. And I think because of an industry as oil and gas, it's quite easy to go in and talk about it. We're not like a bank or insurance company. But that also tells me that, also shows that actually as an industry, we're open to having that conversation. It's not like a taboo subject. And so actually raising awareness is an easy one, and getting these companies to come in. David and I did an SLB call with 950 people globally to talk about sex trafficking.
And if anything, if somebody's saying, we want to know what it is, we want to know, like, you know, who or what is creating any kind of slavery, for lack of a better word, but you have girls and boys that are actually being traded off more than what we know. Tim Sensenig, I heard him speak the other day. He's part of RedM, and he was saying, hey, guess what else? It's boys more than girls. And again, we have all these things that we believe just from watching movies or being around. You know, you just don't know the truth until you're really around somebody who's going, this is the true data. These are real statistics. And then you actually hear it from the horse's mouth when you find somebody who's been rescued saying, this is where it started, this is where it went, and this is how I ended up in Texas. And you just, it blows your mind.
So some people also challenge initially, I was challenged the other day, well, hold on, prostitution, the oldest job in the world, I mean, surely that's their choice. And then if you raise the question, well, hold on, are they doing it not coerced? Surely, and most of the times they're coerced into it, which is trafficking. Are they really keeping all the money? I mean, seriously? So actually, when you look into it and delve into it, I got a call last Tuesday. So this is what becomes real oh shit for us. I got a call from a girl that I met at an art fair only 2 weeks ago. 2 days ago. 2 weeks ago. If that makes sense.
So we're talking 16 days ago.
16 days ago. And she panics. And literally, I'll show you the text after this. Jason, we've just found a 16-year-old pregnant girl on the side of the street, beaten up, trafficked by her mother. She doesn't want to contact the police. We're going to pick her up. What do we do? So this is the call that comes into us as RedM. And what we're asked to do is, our job is, okay, so what's the advice we give? Now, she's asking me, now the resources around us is fantastic. So I got this is a girl in San Angelo, which I have no idea as a Scotsman where's that San Angelo. The first thing I'm doing is Googling, thinking, San Angelo,
is that near San Antonio? Like, you just don't know.
So it's northeast, it was northeast, or still is northeast of Austin. By the time I picked up this message, the people had already a woman trucker had already picked up this girl because she was scared of being picked up, and she was in a truck. So I said, the first thing, because I knew this from David, etc., and some of the training we'd had is, dude, you need to, the police, did she want to be picked up? Because you could be done for, by the police or CPS of not, high kidnapping. We've got connections in Austin, but I know the only place, because we know Tony McKinley, I got a hold of Tony and said, Tony, got this girl coming into town. Said the only place that's going to take them, they're well known to the young traffic community, that's the place to take her. So to be part of RedM and have so many people around, but help this 16-year-old girl, pregnant, find the right place.
And be safe.
And get them off the hands of these people and give advice. Wow.
All so that's takes is one like that.
One call and you get it. And so the raising awareness and being able to do that, immense. The other one is the skills. So we've all got skills, Warren, and you know this, being part of it. We can use all our skills to do whatever. These girls need videos. They're trying to go back into work once they've come out of the industry and trying to go through overcoming and mental awareness. They need new resumes. They need training.
Job skills.
So the IBM just now, my team's working with 6 girls just now, giving them free training. And free coaching and free mentoring to try and get them back into the trade. They need resume skills. They need their headshots. Dude, we need photographers. We need
Yeah.
people that will coach them.
Yeah, so
this-
RedM is very much about if you don't have money to give, you can give your own professional expertise.
Absolutely.
And you can help these people. You can also donate time to do admin work, or
Yep.
anybody can help.
Totally, anything. The last point, galas. So we're great at holding a gala. So David's it's a Spanish event with Mercy Renteria. We've got one running, well actually the next one is Scottish Night to Remember, which I'm hosting, hopefully, if I'm not
That's
drunk
for
enough.
April? Yeah.
April the 18th.
Okay.
And so we're doing that at the Cannon, 6 to 9. Please come along. Look at joinredm.com. We're looking for 300 people. Sponsoring that night is SLB. Thank you, SLB. NOV, thank you. IBM, Plains All American, thank you.
Nice.
First sponsor of an event that we're doing for RedM, so thank you very much. There's a number of other sponsors, which clearly I'll have to come back to and say sorry just now, but that's the main
But
one.
then you have May 8th coming, which just gives everybody who's watching this a chance to dive
Absolutely.
into that.
May 8th, we've got during OTC, we're going to do Spanish Night to Remember, which Mercy Renteria, lovely Mercy, is going to do flamenco dancing. We're going to do paella,
Oh, wow.
rioja, sangria, a nice easy night, 400 oil and gas C-level executives, and we're going to do a night against sex trafficking in Zilka Hall, just 10 blocks from here. So another great event where nice and easy, just get together, peers, great networking, great foods, watch some Spanish stuff, and we might even get David Reid up and dancing. He keeps telling me no. The other one we're doing, actually, I've decided, well, I'm not decided, Hands of Justice, which is a non-profit up in Conroe, which is one of RedM's partners. They're doing a Fashion for Freedom up in the Woodlands on April the 19th, the day after Scottish Night. It's a Friday morning, 10 o'clock till 1:30 in the afternoon. And we've got 20 girls doing a catwalk, all sponsored by Macy's.
Wow.
But yours truly's decided to go on the catwalk
you're
as
gonna be a
well.
runway
In my
model.
in
There
my
you go.
runway model.
Well, you got the height, and you got the looks.
in my kilt,
Yes.
I believe.
I tell you what, walking through Ceraweek with Jason Duff is no joke. I thought, it was a comparison to like Elvis, the Beatles.
Maybe I should turn up in my kilt tomorrow. Dude,
I think it could really propel things for you.
we could do something like that tomorrow. Spanish Night and the you've got me thinking.
This would make people wonder, like, what the hell is he wearing the kilt for? At least.
So here's the other last thing. If
Yes.
you guys are out there and you want to do a different event, seriously, it's not up to us. We love people, David and I love people sticking their hand up and saying, we're a bunch of French guys,
yeah, let's do it.
Indian girls,
Yes.
Spanish girls want to do an event, we will help you run it. That's what we're looking for.
That's great.
And so that's the stuff that we're really, really looking for.
Yeah.
But David runs a great open community where we don't put pressure on each other.
There's no pressure. It's really just being informed and being aware and having options to participate.
And it's a great network, a great way of meeting your peers and a great way of networking.
Yeah. Well, with that,
and we kept the rain off. Look at that.
We really did. I know we're going to do this again. It was just fun to sit down.
Dude, we haven't done this for how long?
No, it's been years. Like it's so weird to think that we're in 2024, and really the pinnacle of both like our intersection of like meeting each other was 2020.
Yeah.
And you've been on a journey. IBM has been on a significant
Dude, I love my IBM team. But by the way, big shout to Neil Syme, Brian Woodward, Jim Kosis, Kieran Das. I'm going to miss everyone's name now. Brian
Anyone
Woodward.
else?
And then the two new ones, Robin McMillan that's just joined me he's on the SPE board.
Yep.
So I've taken a driller, how different things are
That's
now,
wild.
and brought him into
A driller
IBM.
is in the boardroom.
Dude, seriously. So I've literally brought.
And who's the final person?
Paula Elliott,
Paula
who's
Elliott.
a talent and transformation. Who's a girl that's come in from BP, brought her back in, brought her into the business, and using all those data and projects and making sure we've got the talent and transformation. Great team, amazing.
Taking numbers, first cutting a lot of fat and really getting to what you're good at in 2020, then seeing just year over year growth. It isn't magic. It's great people. It's a lot of hard work. and it's a lot of strategy and really roundtabling and collaborating. Jason Duff, thank you so much.
It's not Jason Duff, it's Elvis.
Ah!
You want to meet Elvis? He'll be in George R. Brown tomorrow.
Look, if I see this guy in a kilt tomorrow, I will take a picture.
Did you give me an idea? Nice one.
All right, brother.
Really nice to
Talk
see you.
soon.
Cheers,
Thank
Warren.
you.